Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Queen's 1976 album, A Day at the Races. It's the direct sequel to their 1975 album, A Night at the Opera. They have similar names, and it's generally pretty good. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks I added to my playlist. 5 out of 10, so exactly half here. This album is generally pretty good, although it's pretty lopsided. It's got a great second half, and the first half is mostly just all right. But it's pretty varied. There's a few songs here that sound similar. There's at least 5 to 6 styles, I would say, so that's pretty good in general, right? A lot of bands kind of make 3 songs, or 4 maybe. The flow and order is decent. The second half is pretty well ordered. Somebody to Love is a great starter for the second half, and that side definitely flows from sort of harder rock into more progressive, slower tunes. And that's kind of how the side 1 is as well. It's just not done quite as well. It's more choppy, I would say. Now, this album is a pretty good successor to A Night at the Opera. It's a similar style, but it's lighter, daytime, a bit more outdoorsy, and it feels a bit less polished, weirdly. It does kind of feel like it doesn't hit the same sort of genre as A Night at the Opera feeling like the title, but it does kind of feel like comparing A Day at the Races to A Night at the Opera. So it's not quite right, but it is still pretty good. There was only one single released before the album, which was Somebody to Love, which is easily the biggest track off the album, and pretty much the only one here that was a big popular one that you would know. But my favorite song here is probably Drowse, although maybe Long Away could take it. There's a lot of different styles here, and they're all executed really well, so it's pretty hard to decide which song is my favorite from the album. But I think Drowse is the most unique here. I rank this album 10th out of Queen's 15 albums, which is in the top of the lower half. This album is definitely not that great, but it's still pretty good. Only the second half is like really, really good, but the first half isn't so sucky that it harms the album a lot. But the truth of the matter is, an album with only the second half as good is probably not going to do well in comparison. So it's definitely not as good as most Queen albums, but it's still better than some. And I don't think it's as good as A Night at the Opera, its predecessor. I think A Night at the Opera is the better of the two. Also, this album doesn't take my top spot from 1976. That goes to Billy Joel's Turnstiles, which is definitely the better album. It's really great, and it doesn't have any bad songs. So, it doesn't really have any bad songs. It's definitely superior than to A Day at the Races, in my opinion. Next up is Led Zeppelin's 1976 album, Presence. This is another sort of back-to-back year for them. They released an album in 1975 as well. So I'm interested to see how this goes. Back-to-back albums are usually end up kind of being pretty similar, so we'll see how that goes. In any case, stay minty.